Record.
Hello and welcome to Movie Night. I'm here with my very special guest, Albert Jennings.
Hello.
Why don't you say hello? Hello. And we're here to talk about Rogue One, a Star Wars story, as I believe the full title is. Now, if you're living under a rock, then Rogue One is the, I don't want to say not sequel, but the film that has come after Episode 7 in this kind of new line of Disney Star Wars
Yeah.
films. And it's set before Episode 4, like immediately before. And it's one of those films that kind of sounds really bad on paper, because basically the plot is how someone stole the plans to the Death Star, which obviously led to them blowing it up later on. Kind of unsurprisingly, since this is I don't know how many there are going to be after this one, but this is the first kind of side story of Star Wars we've seen. So it's not directed by J.J. Abrams, as Episode 7 was. It's directed by Gareth Edwards, who he directed Monsters, which is quite good. I haven't seen that. That's all right. But nothing too noticeable. The 2014 Godzilla movie, which was not as good, but hey ho. Star Wars is all about getting new talent in.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the lovely people about the film, Alvin? What did you think of it?
Well, I enjoyed it. I mean, I've only ever seen The Force Awakens as a Star Wars film. I hadn't actually seen any of the other ones before, and I quite like the way that I didn't feel like I was like completely not understanding anything. I mean, I understand that there were probably some references in there that you would get if you'd seen the other ones, but I also thought that it was a good enough story that it just sort of stood on its own, and you could enjoy it just as a film rather than as a quote unquote Star Wars film.
Lovely. That is one of my main points. Actually, is going to be so I mentioned briefly about how it's a movie that sounds quite bad on paper, or at least it does to those who have grown accustomed or grown up with Star Wars, as I have. It's being described as Episode 3.5, which is usually quite like a demeaning thing to say about
Yeah.
a film in this kind of way. It's like, the story of someone we didn't know.
Yeah, and
and aside from some kind of cameos, which I'm sure you will know, like Darth Vader.
yeah.
Princess Leia at the end, obviously.
And you always
everyone who.
you always feel like they're a bit sort of like filling up space almost in between, like they don't quite want to make a whole new film, but so this'll do.
Yes, I know what you mean. It's also comes back to that kind of nostalgia type thing that The Force Awakens did quite a bit, but this one, I was very skeptical of this one because I knew, obviously going in, that it was set, in the same or like slightly with the trilogy, so I was quite worried it was going to be just nostalgia things thrown at you for the sake of it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's quite tame in that regard. And as that's the last thing you want is because people like Albert who never seen Star Wars before because they're terrible people.
Yeah.
You don't want to alienate them from the new series because there's a lot of kids, having this new generation of Star Wars given to them, and I think The Force Awakens did that quite well, and I think this did that quite well as well.
Yeah, well, my brother was in a similar situation. I went to see this with my little brother, who's 11, and he like me had only actually seen The Force Awakens before, so
exactly, because there's no way it's like a new generational thing.
Yeah, but we still both really enjoyed it.
Exactly, and that's one of the things. So yeah, I was skeptical about that, but fortunately, the film proved me wrong. And in actual fact, I think it being a standalone thing was actually one of the best things it could do, to be honest, and I'll explain why. Basically, well, it doesn't feel like it's setting up, well, obviously it's not, and it's not. It has to. I'm trying to explain it. There's no way for it to kind of carry on because all the characters are new, pretty much, apart from the three I mentioned, and so it's kind of like the gloves are off. They can be a bit more experimental with it, and for the most part, they take advantage of it. They can.
I think there's definitely a sort of market for doing things in the universe as well, because in the way the Star Wars films obviously create this whole universe that exists, there's obviously going to be stories within that universe that not necessarily involve all the characters that we've seen before. And the basic conflict between the Empire and the Rebels is still sort of playing out without everything we've seen before.
And I love anything that breaks kind of convention, especially in Star Wars, which we've seen a million times before. It's kind of like, so before the kind of Force Awakens, there was this whole Star Wars universe that came in the form of wars and stuff like that kind of a bunch of different people pitched in to create, and I think upon the release of Episode 7, that kind of got swept under the rug a bit. But this is essentially a film adaptation of the extended universe, I suppose. It's a way of kind of filling in the blanks. But again, it sounds quite demeaning when you say it like that. Like, it's not. It sounds quite inconsequential, almost. Like, why does this film? We know the outcome of the movie, so what was the point in existing? But
because
as you say, it's about the characters in the actual film itself.
It's interesting. When I'm just looking on the Wikipedia page, and it says Rogue One is a 2016 American epic space opera film. Now, the words "epic space opera film" it's an odd choice of words. I was thinking in terms of, but when you think about it, a whole sort of space opera, it sort of suggests it's quite character driven, and I definitely agree with that whole. Its characters are its strengths.
Yes,
is what I thought.
And Star Wars, the original trilogy, was often described as a space opera just because it's so. If you don't like the characters in a Star Wars film, that's pretty much. It's not worth seeing because they drive the plot so hard, and it's like because the actual conflict isn't that interesting, to be honest. It's just like basically good guys versus bad guys, and nothing. And they're not exactly. They're quite obvious bad guys as well. They're not too. Yeah, exactly.
If you're looking for subtlety, that wouldn't be the thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely not.
But
the original trilogy was literally World War II in space, and there's a very clear imagery there, but it's the way it's presented and the way it's driven through the characters.
I thought all the performances were good though in the film. I thought all of the main.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Felicity Jones, that's what she's called, isn't it? In the main, I thought that she did very well, considering quite a lot of the film there was quite a lot of bits where it was sort of just her and a few other characters, and she did quite well to carry a lot of the film then.
The bit of her beginning, I mean, that wasn't her, Felicity Jones, obviously, but the way it set up her character at the beginning with the mum dying and that kind of thing. It was all very good, and it kind of she played that character very well, I think. Although that said, there was more characters, I think, than I thought there was going to be originally. Like it felt like, not this is a bad thing obviously, but it felt like Jen wasn't that kind of central almost. There was just so many characters going on.
Yeah.
I mean, she obviously was the driver behind. She was driving the plot forward mostly, but.
Yeah, but all of the sort of supporting cast did a good job as well in sort of creating characters. We had was it Cassian? Is that what it was called? Cassian Andor. That was it. Yeah, he was. I liked his character. I thought that they.
He was very good. He went through a very good kind of typically Star Wars, but nonetheless just good character arc where he starts off kind of bad, but then he turns good mostly at the end. It's very, it was very good. It was very well portrayed, and also it's like comes back to what I was saying about how the gloves are off, and they kind of experimented a bit with it. This is, I think, one of the first times they show the rebellion to be not all just good guys, because obviously there's Cassian who says how he's done bad things in the past and almost excuse me, he almost kills Jen's dad.
Yeah.
And that kind of added a lot of depth, I think, to his character.
Yeah.
So yeah, all the characters were either likable, interesting, or kind of just cool, I guess.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, I would definitely agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the Chinese blind guy.
Yeah, the brothers there. Yeah.
He was very cool.
I like the robot as well. That
Oh yeah.
Andor had.
He was great.
Yeah, that was.
He was really good.
Yeah.
He was basically like a C3, or he filled the kind of similar role of C3PO. Not that you would really know, but he was but he's like a very different character, and he's very interesting. Which is sad when they all just straight up died, Game of Thrones style, which is quite surprising.
It was when I got to the end, I was just like, oh right, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think there was anyone left alive by the end of it.
No, not really. I mean, pretty much everybody was gone. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because otherwise, wouldn't. I suppose if Jen had survived, she would probably be in the original trilogy because she would be quite a big player.
Yeah, it's true.
They almost had to kill everyone off for it to make sense. But yeah, it was like it was more brutal, I think, than any kind of definitely more brutal than like Force Awakens or any of the other Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's just like
just like oh right, okay, everybody's dead.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. And like honestly, I was expecting at the last second when they blew up the planet for I don't know, some kind of spaceship to come by, very kind of Hollywood-esque, like pick her up at the last second and die.
No, that was it.
That's another thing like that was good about it, because it felt, obviously the setting and stuff is familiar to people who've seen Star Wars, but the kind of tone is very different, I think. And it's this is the first time it feels like an actual war. Like originally, it's kind of more like an adventure, a bit more kind of less focused on the nitty gritty. But this is like showing you what it would have been like, I suppose, to fight against a vastly superior empire.
I think that what this did well was. The best thing that they could have done if they weren't going to make a new film, it would be to do a story like this. It would have been very easy to do like a Han Solo origin story or something like that. I don't really think that would have achieved anything interesting. But this was a different story in the same universe, and in that respect, I thought it worked well. In terms of, I say like that, something like that would have just felt like fan fiction made into a film, but this definitely felt like a standalone story.
Yes. Definitely. I think it benefited a lot from that, just because you think you're interested in someone's origin story, but then most of the time when they actually make them, it's not very interesting at all. It's more you didn't like where it came from, you like the actual character themselves, which is why it's best kept.
Yeah, and because you like those characters, you watch the film that they're in. There's
exactly, yeah.
If you like the character if you like the character of Han Solo, they're not going to get, Harrison Ford to play him in an origin story. Well, I wouldn't imagine anyway. But he's slightly old for an origin story. But I wouldn't think something. Yeah, I wouldn't think something would work like that.
I really hope. I mean, it's difficult to say, but I think they probably will try and do something like that.
They probably.
I really hope they don't. I hope they kind of resist the urge to.
My advice to the people behind Star Wars would be maybe leave it a year now, and then maybe leave it a year or two, and then bring out a new Star Wars film if they want to do that.
Yeah, I I wouldn't mind if it's another side story. I don't want to have a new Star Wars film every year. I don't think. I think it's gonna feel like the last thing I want is for Star Wars to be kind of mass produced, which I know it kind of already is.
But
In terms of merchandise.
there's plenty of sort of franchises managed to space them out. Like you got the obviously James Bond films don't come out every year.
Yeah, and it's still exciting when they do come out.
Yeah.
So they just need to pace themselves a bit.
Yeah, I would
I
definitely
just
agree
hope,
there.
Yeah, that this time next year there's not going to be another one. It's going to be the origin of that guy, the one pilot or something like that. That's why I want to avoid.
Yeah, that's true.
At any and all costs. And that that was also another interesting thing. It was, I mean, you probably won't notice that much, but one of the kind of some of the returning characters, like General Tarkin, the old guy. He was in the original trilogy, obviously, and that was kind of I was honestly perplexed a little bit because I was like, it took me out of the movie a little bit, I have to say, because I was trying to think to myself if he was dead or not, and then I couldn't remember.
What I thought about him was the interesting thing was there was always something slightly strange about his the way he sort of talked, the way his face looked and everything. And I think he was added in later with CGI, wasn't it? Sort of.
That's what kind of. That was the one negative thing about it.
That was it. I just thought it was really weird. Yeah.
It was really weird choice. Like, I can't imagine there was much. I can't imagine there's many General Tarkin fans out there that really.
Yeah, that were like, God, I want to see General Tarkin again.
It was a bit unnecessary.
I would have just created a new villain in inverted commas, you know.
Exactly. What's his name? Ben Mendelsohn. The new general guy. The one with all the white.
Yeah.
He was perfectly fine.
Yeah,
on his own.
and then obviously if you were that desperate, you could just say, and then Tarkin took over or something like that at the end.
Like, even have him at the end, like Leia, who comes out at the end. That was fine. Cause it was like, oh, okay, they're past. These are the characters from
Fair enough. Yeah.
next movie. But it's like there was no real need for him to be there.
It was slightly strange as you were watching it, thinking that's something not right there.
Because like the thing about Princess Leia was that she was only there for like 2 seconds, and Darth Vader was an actual costume, and he was so
and it was
recreate that.
It was James Earl Jones as well, doing the voice, same voice of Vader.
Oh yes, that was cool actually. I'm glad they had the same voice.
Yeah. I thought actually that bringing back Darth Vader worked quite well. Because you could have been
because he wasn't CGI.
You could have been tempted to do something sort of a bit over the top type thing.
Really good. Oh, sorry, what are you saying?
So I was just gonna say it would have been easy to do something a bit more sort of over the top with him or something silly, but it was just handled well, I thought.
Yeah, he wasn't in it for the whole thing. He gave the spotlight to other characters that deserved it really, and that he was used really sparingly at the end. When he kind of came out at full force. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of just rewarding just to see like it all climax to that point, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then they worked well just because they were used well. But Tarkin put me off just because he was like quite. At first, I couldn't tell if he was CGI or not, and then I was like really confused, and I was just taken out, and then it was just rather silly.
Well, I was thinking, as I was watching it, like I didn't know it was CGI either, but I was thinking it must be. After all, I thought this must, thinking, and that's where it was too much. If they'd have used him enough, so that it just looked slightly odd, but it was fine. But they used it so much that you just thought, no, that's just weird.
It gave me time to think. Like if he had just been in it for one scene, I would probably just forget about it. But then, because he was in it so much, I was like spending the whole time thinking whether he was CGI or not. But hey, that's just me.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I mean, is he? I don't actually know if he is still alive. I don't think so.
No. It says so digital likenesses of the late Peter Cushing was used. So I'm assuming. So I have to assume he's not alive. And it says actually digital likenesses of the late Peter Cushing and a young Carrie Fisher are used. So I presume that Princess Leia they have at the end was a sort of CGI created thing.
Oh yeah, it must have been.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. By the way, that was very sad to hear. And her mother died as well.
Yeah, that was just this morning, wasn't it? Yeah.
I know. I don't want to.
I think actually we could dedicate this movie night to Carrie Fisher's memory. I think that would be.
It is strange. What do you think they're going to do? I mean, she didn't. Princess Leia didn't die at the end of episode 7. So
no, and she's still quite a big part of that.
What they're going to do next time? I mean, they probably already filmed it, but.
I genuinely I don't know.
That'd be interesting to see. Hopefully there's CGI here as well.
That would be probably not a good idea.
Oh dear. Well, at the end of the day, what would you recommend, or would you not recommend?
Shall I give my stars out of 5?
Go on.
I think I would probably give it. Bearing in mind I'm difficult to please. 3.5 stars I would have said, because I'm pretty discerning about films in terms of the things. But obviously I was reviewing it as more of a film rather than a Star Wars film, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that the action was good, and all the characters did it well. 3.5, 4 star. 4. I'll go with 4. I think.
Okay.
4. I've changed my mind. 4 stars. I would definitely give it. I definitely say go watch it. Both if you're a Star Wars fan or if you just sort of like science fiction action type films. It was definitely worth a watch in that respect. What about you?
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. Actually, I'm gonna have to give it a 4 stars. I think if you're if like one of those a hardcore Star Wars fan, and if you go in thinking like, oh, this isn't like Star Wars, it's like, it's more about the kind of, it's not that relevant, I suppose. It's easy to think if you've seen the original trilogy that it's not going to be very exciting, but if you just watch it, as Albert said, as a film, I think you'll really enjoy it, because it's just a good, well-made film, and the
CGI and everything is fantastic, of course.
Exactly, yeah.
And
aside from the old people, but it's if you just kind of let your just enjoy it as a film, and you'll like it. Just try not to get.
It's definitely miles better than a lot of sort of the generic Marvel type films. Not that I'm dissing Marvel films. I like quite a few of them, but just
definitely
something like Batman versus Superman or something like that.
Oh god, we'll have to do a movie night of that at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just.
But what was I going to say? Goodness sake. The only things that hold it back are the parts where it feels the necessity to kind of remind you that it is a Star Wars film, like with General Tarkin. Need to shove imagery in your face, but when it actually, this film is good because it steps outside convention. It takes a few risks with, as I said, the tone more specifically.
Yeah.
And the way kind of just it deals with the source material. So have yourself a treat and go watch it at local cinema.
Yep, definitely. I would agree there. Yes.
So thank you very much for listening to this episode.
And of course, I should mention that movie night is on our new home, our own channel, just in case all the loyal fans were wondering where we were.
We've moved. We have declared independence.
We have.
Much akin to the UK, yes. And,
on the 23rd of June, yeah.
I saw someone with a sticker on their car of that, and I just wanted to throw a brick through their window.
That's true.
But nonetheless, that's for a week in politics, not movie night. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you later.
See you later.